Hudson and Scotty B need a therapist. I'm Hudson Hot, Scotty Blaisdell, my longtime partner in crime, and our resident therapist, the one and only Allen Wagner. Hey guys, I'm dealing with a concussion, right?
Yeah, what happened?
Ay, ay, ay. I looked good doing it. Let me just start. I, I really don't remember because it was on Halloween, and I went as Catwoman, and I wore a latex cat suit. Probably haven't worn anything that scantily clad in probably like 20 years. But for the last 3 years of exercising and working out, I was so feeling it, Scotty. I was in such a good mood. Put that sucker on and went to a party, a friend's party, and met some really lovely people.
Well,
Just
I saw the
had a good
I saw
time.
the pictures, and Alan was Batman,
It
Yep.
was
and what a studly Batman. I mean,
Yes,
look
sir.
at, I mean,
ripped.
those. He was ripped, exactly.
Abs. He had a 12 pack that night. Do you know that later, if I didn't have a concussion, I would have had him leave the suit on. I'm just saying.
Okay.
But I still have the suit and it can make another appearance, I'm sure.
So,
But
so as Catwoman, what caused you? Were you trying to be Catwoman, and that's
I
why you
was
got a
I was trying to
concussion?
jump from buildings. No, I was just trying to cross the sidewalk, apparently in high heels in the grass. I guess my foot got stuck, my heel in the grass, and I went flat back. I mean, flat back, but my head hit concrete. And I don't
Oh,
remember from that moment on. I don't remember anything. Plus, I was
wow.
really a little tipsy, you know what I mean? It was a really fun night. And then Alan was really worried.
Yeah.
And so he stayed up and watched me to make sure I was breathing. Because, if you have a concussion or something, there could be swelling or blood. And then the next morning, like in the morning, he's like, no, we're not messing around. We're going to the hospital. We're going. And so they said I had a concussion. I had made plans. Remember, I had gotten this invitation to go and play with monkeys.
Yeah, I know this is one of the happy places for you is being with monkeys.
Yep.
Correct. And so today I thought for our podcast, let's talk about happiness because I think there's so many people that are unhappy right now. And I was one of those individuals. It took something really crazy to bring that happiness back. And I'm not saying you need a monkey, but I think Alan can maybe jump in and explain some of this.
I guess the theme of happiness and why she's bringing this up, if I could summarize really fast before we to refer to Scotty, is what is the deal with happiness? And if somebody was to ask me on a regular basis, Alan, are you happy? It would be a very complicated question because happy with what? And I think it all depends on the stage of life you're in. And I think that for a lot of people that are my clients and a lot of people that are listening to this, they have a lot of obligations still in their life. They're not retired, they're not wealthy, they don't, aren't just traveling the world. They have things in their life that are stressors. Maybe there's certain parts of your life that could be better. And so as adults, I always refer to it as adulting, but a lot of it is obligation. It's taxes, it's paying bills, it's running errands. And I just wanted to say that like happiness is moments when you're adulting. It's not a global thing. And I think people don't always know that.
You hit it on the head when you said it's complicated because I think in general I'm happy, but there's definitely a lot of parts of my day where I'm not.
Hmm.
And I think striving to always be happy is destined for failure. Everything in life can't make you happy. And I think we try to teach that to kids, but I think we need to teach that to ourselves sometimes and remind ourselves that we're not supposed to just walk around being happy, or what would happy be? You know?
Right. But there's also ways to find your happiness when it's lost. And there's certain things that we believe bring us happiness. Only doing, like, for example, the meaning of those monkeys. I figured it out. The universe, I believe, brought this all together. I got on a plane with a concussion and all. But what it brought me was the most incredible happiness I've ever experienced. It was a dream for me to hold those monkeys, to look into their souls and feel that connection.
But can I say something, Hudson, to what we're talking about, and
Hmm.
not to cut you off, but in order for you to get to the moment of happiness, which was spending time in a cage with 20 monkeys that have gotten acclimated to you, where they were pruning you and cleaning you and doing all this stuff, And I saw the pictures. I don't know if other people go to her Instagram account and they can see them. But it wasn't easy getting a flight. It wasn't easy getting to the airport. It wasn't easy flying with the concussion. It wasn't easy getting an Uber. It wasn't easy driving all the way to the sanctuary from your friend's house. All of that stuff wasn't fun. But the moment led to a moment where you have to click at yourself at that moment. And while the monkeys are patting your hair or whatever and say, this is amazing. And can we all recognize as adults when those moments happen? But that sometimes to get to those moments isn't always easy and it's a struggle financially or personally or physically. But can we appreciate the moments?
That was it. But in that moment, for me, it took me to a place that I haven't experienced in over a year. Being with my best friend, Nancy, who you know, Scotty, I haven't seen her in quite some time, and reconnecting and having that friendship feeling, the girl feelings. For the last year, giving up my job in Los Angeles, it was something that I felt was my identity. My happy place was being at work. I didn't take vacations. You know that. I lived to work because that was my escapism. And I felt like it defined who I was. And I let go of that identity that I was clinging on to. Something I needed to let go of. And it also made me realize that I am in control of my happiness. And I have to look around and appreciate the small things. There's more to me than my job, and there's something bigger and better. And to look at everything with open eyes and to embrace those little happy moments.
So, Alan, how do you, when she says it's the only time she's been happy in a while, how does that make you feel as her husband, beyond being a therapist? I know she tends to use
Exaggerated.
hyperbole.
I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Generalizations. Look, I get it. I live with her. And so I understand it's hard for people to go through identity loss. You know, in the theme of happiness, it's not just about, I mean, yes, the monkeys are an example of it, but there's certain, not everybody's going to be able to get on a flight and go take a few days to go do something. And so, I've been dealing with clients actually this week a lot on this subject, which is it's not easy to be married. It's not easy to parent children. It's not easy to do a lot of things. And you have to sometimes understand what does make you happy. And sometimes you're not going to get to fly away. It's something as simple as sitting in your backyard, or it's something as simple as going for a drive. But I guess for most people listening to this, they see it in a very black and white way. You're either happy or you're unhappy. Like, and Scotty even said to me, like, what does it feel like for your wife to say she's unhappy? It's not necessarily that she's unhappy with me. She's unhappy in other areas of her life, but she also is happy at times. And I think that's the thing. Happiness is the moments that you have to sort of grab when it's happening. Like if you're at a restaurant eating the food that you want to eat, if you're at a movie theater, even by yourself seeing the movie you want to see, can you at least in those moments embrace that you're happy then? Even if you're with your partner and they're smiling and they're saying, can you look at that moment, even if the day before sucked, or even if you have an obligation later, it's about catching the moments during adulthood. And I don't think a lot of people do. So they generalize and say they're unhappy without understanding that within the unhappiness, there are moments that they need to take appreciation and gratitude of and identify and notice, because those are what you want to increase.
And something that I really learned, something that maybe it was the concussion, maybe it was the monkeys, I don't know. But no, Alan's right. It's not that Alan is the love of my life and makes me happy and tries so hard. But I literally, instead of focusing, and I think a lot of us do this, especially when you're really feeling down and depressed, instead of looking at the good things, we're looking at the bad things and focusing on what's wrong instead of what's right. Do you see,
I
you know
re
what I'm saying?
yeah, I remember hearing a sermon one time, and it was a preacher was talking about taking his kids to the beach and started to, unpack everything and realize they didn't have the little floaties that the little kid liked to use. And so the kid was just yelling, I want my floaties. I want my floaties. And they're like, look, we're on a beach. We're in Hawaii. Look at the surf. Look at the ocean. Look at the food we're enjoying. Look, we're with family. I want my floaties.
Yep.
And that's the point is a lot of times we are, I want my floaties people. And we forget to look around and see that we're on a beach in Hawaii or whatever good things are in your life.
Yeah.
On that same note, Scotty, I love that example because that's such a great metaphor. It's anybody who's used to live in California. So we would take, if you ever take children to the beaches in California, it's a long walk from where you park to where the ocean is. And you have to cross the sand, walking with coolers and umbrellas and sunblock and food and drinks and everything you need for little kids, right? And that whole experience of the driving to the beach, the parking, the carrying all that stuff to set up for the children and make sure that everybody's happy, somehow it's such a stressful thing until you see your kid running in and out of the water, like laughing and smiling, and you smile back because it all led to that one moment of happiness, despite the fact there was so much obligation. And so I think that's sort of like, I guess, a theme in a way. It's like, can a person look at what's good in a half full way versus a half empty way? And I'm not trying to minimize anybody. It's just more like, take notice of the times you smile. Is it a person that you need to see more? Is it a place you need to go more? Is it an activity you need to do more? What makes you smile? And are you catching those moments?
Sometimes we have seasons in life
Yeah.
where there's a lot of things you have to take care of. There's a lot of responsibility. You're trying to get your kids to things, and you're maybe you're dealing with schools things or whatever it is, but at the same time, you're leading towards something, and you know you have to put in this in order to get there.
Yeah.
So don't get bogged down with the fact that you don't just feel happy all the time. I think that is what destroys us, is the desire to feel happy. And we feel like if we're not feeling happy, then it's our spouse's fault or it's our job's fault or whatever. Your goal should never be just to be happy. And I think that sounds so weird in today's world.
You
It
know,
really does.
social media has really misled us because I think a lot of times people are snapping moments of a date night, snapping moments like it was just Halloween of their kids in the pumpkin patch, snapping moments of their kids playing sports and how proud of them they are, not acknowledging that parenting young children is hard, that what happened before that photo and after that photo was not easy, but the photo was great, that they smiled and you got them to smile for that one photo. Or on the date night, maybe, the one night, like you got a great photo of the two of you, but maybe there was a fight at the dinner. And on social media, it's like we look at other people being happy and we think that that's what it's like all the time. But social media is just a picture. It's just a picture of the moment. And it could even be artificial. There are people who make up happiness pictures to just show off and how great they are. But I think we're all sort of, in a way, brainwashed by that. And I think we have to acknowledge the fact that in those, and maybe they are real moments of happiness, but when those things happen, acknowledge them, but also acknowledge nobody lives a life of 100% joy that I've ever met. And especially in the three acts of life, the second act, which is the structural life, that's obligation.
And I don't think it's just in social media. I think it's in social interaction as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
When you go out with people in real life, they're not putting out the worst of themselves. They're putting up the best of themselves.
Yep.
Right.
They are more positive about their life when they're talking to you than
Yep.
they are when they're talking to themselves or their spouse or their family.
Correct. That's so true. I mean, I just had this whole conversation with my best friend Nancy when I was out in Tennessee, you know. I haven't seen her in ages and we were able to catch up. And for the very first time, I actually shared with her how I really feel. And I let her lift me up. And a lot of times, and I don't know if I'm the only woman who does that, but a lot of times we'll keep things in and we'll just keep them in and it just builds up and it just eats away at you instead of letting a friend or your pastor or your rabbi, whatever it is, talk to somebody because other people see you when you don't see yourself.
When you have real friends, like I always think about that movie American Beauty, if anybody's ever seen it. And the whole thing was about like what goes on in the house is different than what people see outside of the house, which is actually a very good theme that Scotty just brought up, which is that even in our social interactions, we always present our best self as a couple, as a family. Everything's great, our kids are great, everything's great. Are we ever really honest about the times that it's not great? And if we are honest about the times it's not great, but we
Nope.
don't make it generalized and we just talk about it, it doesn't accumulate as much. And then we look at the things that are great. But there are times in your life with happiness that, again, you're going to have to find it, but you're also maybe experiencing, you're going to have to acknowledge it because it's, again, there's times I go driving around North Carolina, it's all woodsy here, and I like the drive. I get lost in the drive of the trees I
Yep.
get lost in the ocean. There's a lot of things that make me happy in a moment.
Actually, Scotty, you must have been really happy when you took that picture. That was such a gorgeous picture that you took on your drive of the water with the bridge and the foliage. Was that a
Yeah,
happy moment?
I was driving home from just going to the grocery store, and I was looking at that amazing moon that we just had, the
Oh God, beaver moon or something,
the
right?
beaver moon, yeah. And as I'm driving toward my home, I pass this lake, and I look out at the reflection. I see the moon over the
Oh wow.
the foliage and the reflection of the foliage in the water, and I snapped that shot, and it had just made me happy. I pulled over and walked over to take that picture because that moment I couldn't keep from doing it. I
Right.
had to I had to save it, you know?
Yeah.
I went to University of Arizona and they have a really good astronomy program. And so you would always go out into the desert because you have such great visibility in the desert. You can see actually all the constellations moving across the sky. And so I've always been fascinated since I was a late teenager in the sky and the moon and the stars and all of those things. And I remember going on road trips that suck. And if you've ever been on a long road trip with a family or just sometimes just yourself and it's boring, there are times I would stop on the road trip and pull over if it was a clear sky because there's no light pollution. And you could just pull over your car and get out and stare at the sky, and there's no lights because there's no city. And I smile in those moments, and then I get back in the car and it sucks. But do we do those things as people enough anyway? Or do we even
I
acknowledge that that was awesome?
I think that I think there's something inside of us that really calls us to nature. I think there's something that God made all this for us and wants us to take part in it. And if we're just in front of screens, in vehicles, on roads, in our house, you need that time to hear nature, to feel it. I
Yeah.
think it does something for your soul.
I was just gonna say, like, it on the same point that we're talking about, like, sometimes it's so simple to find that. Like, for me, I know Hudson knows this about me. It's chicken fried steak. I don't know if you guys ever eat that. I didn't eat it on the East Coast when I grew up, but I ate it later. And we have a place that makes really good chicken fried steak and eggs. And it's not that far away. And even in a stressful time of work or other types of personal stressors and family stressors, et cetera, if I just go and I have chicken fried steak and I don't just treat it like lunch, but I actually like really enjoy it and I really take my time, I can actually enjoy that moment and mark it as a great moment. And I know it's weird, but I'm sure people listening have moments like that too. Whether it's monkeys or whether it's, seeing the moon, like you were saying, the beaver moon. It's like, I do think nature does play a part in things, but what do we do to make ourselves happy? Because I think I was thinking about some of the sessions today and the word selfish came up. It's not selfish to look to make yourself happy, but you should live a self-directed life. It shouldn't come at the expense of others, but you can definitely still do things that are positive for you.
That's a good way to put it too. I mean, we're
Yeah.
not talking about just being selfish, but we're
Yeah.
talking
No.
about getting some of that time that you actually need to reflect, to appreciate. And I think you've talked so many times about the 5 and 1 thing, how you say 5 positive things for every negative. And a lot of times we relate that to our significant other. You're trying to keep that relationship strong. But I think even in our mind, we need to be thinking of what are the 5 good things right now instead of this one thing that's been plaguing me all day.
Yep.
Yeah, your beach example in Hawaii.
Yeah,
Over
exactly.
facilities. Hudson spent the entire time back on the plane going through those pictures and just looking at them and crying and smiling because she found a marker of that one moment with like the 20 monkeys touching her face. And again, we're not all going to go take trips like that. And not every, I wouldn't go in a cage full of monkeys personally. I don't know about you, Scotty. Not something I want to do personally. Take the chance of an angry monkey ripping my face open. But I will say we all have the things in our life, or maybe it's scuba or, where we're at peace, where we can pinch the moment and say, this is incredible. This moment is incredible. Maybe it's with
You
our
know,
partner. Yeah.
yeah, I was in an Uber on my way back to the airport and I met this really nice gentleman who just took on a third job. He works part-time doing Uber. He works at Walmart part-time as well, and then has his full-time job. And he was saying that his life is horrible right now. It is so horrible because he's concerned about losing his health care and the cost of it because rent is, and he started going and we started, and he was telling me all these negative things. And I, me, the person who has been so just lost, I'm telling him, but you have three really great kids. You were just telling me how amazing your girls are and the fact that they love fashion and they would have loved my jacket. And you were smiling as you were telling me that. I'm like, these are the things you got to think about. And so again, it's about the way you look at things and being appreciative, even if it's something so small as the moon or the colors of the leaves.
I'll tell you one more story. I had a roommate. At one point, I was like, what do you do for a living?" And he said, "I work at," and he named a restaurant. And I said, "Well, what do you do there?" Because he's a real happy guy. And he goes, "I wash dishes." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, I do the overnight shift." And I'm thinking, why is he so happy? And he goes, "But you know what? I either get a free dinner or I get a free breakfast."
Yeah.
He has a job and he gets a free meal. And, I'm so cynical and so instantly negative, but he was very positive in that situation. And it kind of showed me I should not be so complainy about things that are bothering
Right.
me.
I know.
I was at McDonald's last night, and to what you said, it was one of the ladies was on a shift break, and so they give free food, I guess, because she was sitting there eating McDonald's, and she was so happy and smiling and eating away, which made me feel better about eating there because if they eat it and they're happy, that's probably a good sign. But at the same time, her job was stressful. I could see the stress in the kitchen. It was packed. Everybody's running around doing different things. It's not the same jobs the way it used to be, but she was enjoying her burger. And she was really happy in that moment. And I hope she took note of it because I saw her smiling. But it's one of those things where it's like we all, like the dishwasher story, it's like we all have perspectives on things. A lot of people think that my job sucks. So like you do couples counseling and you're dealing with people with divorces and marital problems or even just depression and individuals. And they don't understand the joy that I get in fixing things sometimes and the satisfaction I get. And so, yeah, you can look at the negatives of my job and it's not always easy. But at the same time, there's times, as Hudson knows, when I'm really proud of myself because I know I did something good and I'm happy at that moment. I may
And
not
I'm
always be
always
happy with
very proud.
not every client do I always get it
Yeah.
perfect, but I try.
Well, I mean, I don't know that there's a magic pill you can take or I don't know, a phrase we can throw at you other than the 5 to 1, but I think a mindset where you spend time each day thinking of the thing that's good, in the middle of this vast forest of problems that you have, it may take a little bit for you to get your mind around the thing that you can be appreciative of. And then it'll grow from there, I think. And once you start thinking about those things and focusing on them, the other stuff's just part of life, but it's not life.
No,
That was so well said, Scotty.
I agree
Seriously.
100%.
That's my mindset right now. And it feels so good.
But I
So
would give a
optimistic.
homework assignment, Hudson, to everybody here listening. I would want them to take their time this week and or this weekend and just write down a few things as adults who work, who parent, who anybody who's listening who has a lot of stuff on their plate. Can you take note and make a list of 10 moments or things that when you're doing those things, it makes you happy? And then ask yourself, have you inserted those things into your week next week at all? Any of them? Because if you don't put things in there and you don't even know what makes you happy, it's very easy for that 5 to 1 that you talk about, Scotty, to go the other way because everybody's like pissed about property taxes going up or health insurance going up or concerns with tariffs and the holiday season coming up. There's a lot of things that people are unhappy about right now. So I hope that people will take the time to look for moments because asking a person and an adult, are you happy? It's too complicated to say that. The better question is, what makes you happy? What in your life is going well? And if you have a good friend and it sounds like you were really honest this week with Nancy Hudson,
It was.
yeah. Then you know what? That was great. You got that support and you got that love and it was real. It wasn't fake where everything's great,
Correct.
everything's perfect. Because it's
Right.
not usually for any of us.
I really do hope that this podcast can help somebody right now who's feeling unhappy. Write down those 10 things that make you happy and incorporate them into your routine and find the good, you know? I'm Hudson Hott, Scotty Blaisdell, my partner, Allen Wagner, our wonderful therapist. Hudson and Scotty B need a therapist. Please share with a friend who might need this podcast and like and subscribe. Until next time, peace in the chicken grease.
See ya.
See you guys.